Anyone who regularly lights candles must know these incredibly ingenious tricks with candles, but unfortunately almost nobody knows them. Before we get straight to the real secret tricks, let's start with something simpler. Because have you ever put these laundry beads in your candles? To be precise, you should put them in a tea light jar. Spread a small amount in the glass until the bottom is covered by about 1 to 2 centimeters. That's enough. The whole thing not only looks visually appealing but also has other advantages. If you now take a tea light and place it on top and then light it, you will always have a pleasant fresh scent in your entire home. But that's by no means the only option, because there are other possibilities, such as the following. You can use a few coffee beans for this one. It's the simple principle again. You throw a good amount of coffee beans into a tea light jar, place the tea light on top and light it. This way you can ensure that your home always smells nice and fresh. And you can certainly think of other things you can put under your tea light. But now we come to the next trick, and for this one you should put your candles in the freezer, as this actually has huge benefits. Before I show you why you should store your candles in the freezer in general, I'll show you why you should put these tea light jars in your freezer. At a very specific point, namely when the candle has almost burnt down, but you still have some wax left in the jar. Then take the tea light jar and put it in the freezer for about 2 to 3 hours. That should be enough. You can then take the tea light jar out of the freezer again. Now that the wax is frozen, it has shrunk a little and you can easily tip it out of the jar as a whole. This will get the wax residue out of the jar and you can use the jar again. For the remaining small pieces of wax in a jar, you can now tip in a small amount of vinegar and wipe through again. This will really remove everything. But why should you store all the candles in your freezer now? The flame of a candle is fueled by the gaseous wax on a wick. The heat causes the wax to change from a solid to a liquid state and later to a gaseous state. If you store the candles in the freezer now, you can delay this process. This means that it takes longer for this to happen, but it still burns normally. You can therefore ensure that your candles last much longer and that you don't have to light a new one as quickly. So you can actually save some money when buying candles. You can also use the following trick to ensure that your candles burn significantly longer. This works particularly well with tea lights. All you need is a little salt, which you should add to the tea lights. However, it is important that you wait for the right time. You should wait until exactly when the candles already have a little liquid wax. I'm going to light 2 candles here so that we can clearly see the before and after effect. As soon as the wax is more or less liquid, you can move on to the salt. I now add about half a teaspoon of salt to the tea light on the right. This is because the salt binds the wax, and you can see this clearly because the candle where we have now added the salt will now burn for much longer. After a short time you can see that although both candles were lit at the same time, the candle on the left is almost completely covered in liquid wax, while the one on the right is still somewhat solid. You can see it even more clearly, and as time goes on it becomes increasingly clear that the left hand candle has simply burnt down faster, as the wax has been used up more quickly here. While the light has already gone out in the left hand candle at the very end, there is still wax in a right hand candle and it is still burning. You can save up to 25% of your candle. And if you regularly light such candles in a jar, the following trick can help you enormously. All you need is a lighter and some spaghetti. Because if you don't have a long stick lighter that you can use to light a candle perfectly, but only a small one, then you're probably familiar with the fact that you sometimes burn your fingers when you try to light the candle. But that doesn't have to be the case. All you need is a piece of spaghetti. Because spaghettis are flammable, light it and then take it to the wick and simply light the candle. You can then blow out the spaghetti again and have only used a very small amount of the spaghetti, so you can use it again and again and even relight your candle more often. Do you already know the brilliant benefits of putting your jewelry in shaving foam? You can find out what it does for you in the video, which you can now see on the screen. Click on it directly.